welcome to another QuickBooks training moment with Steiner Business Solutions. My name is Doug, and today we are going to go over how to create a backup copy of your QuickBooks file. It's important to do a backup copy periodically, just in case something happens to your data file or your computer. You want to back up the data files in case it gets corrupted, if your computer gets broken or lost. If you have a data file backed up somewhere else, you're always able to retrieve it later on a different computer with QuickBooks installed on it. So this is how you're going to do it. You go into File, Backup Company. You'll notice this is also the same place you'd go if you wanted to restore a backup. So if you are looking to restore a previous copy of your backup file, you will be able to see those backups here and choose which one you want to restore. But we're going to go into Create Local Backup. Now you have the option of, do I want to do an online backup or a local backup? The online backup is a paid service that QuickBooks offers to store your QuickBooks file out on the cloud. So again, it's a monthly fee, and then it automatically creates the backup for you and it sends it out there, so it's not sitting on your computer, so you could always access it. If something did happen to your computer, that file would be safe somewhere outside of it and you could always retrieve it later. We're going to do a local backup here, so we have to go into options to put the settings for that local backup. First thing it's going to ask you is where you want to save the backup copy. I'm going to save it to my C drive, but I don't recommend that you do this. This is just for this example. I recommend that you save it somewhere off of your computer, whether it's a thumb drive, an external hard drive, a different computer, somewhere out on the cloud. It's best to save your data somewhere else, because if something does happen to your computer and your backup copy is there, well, not only is your original copy gone, but your backup copy is gone, so it does you no good. So you should save it somewhere else. The next question here is add the date and time of the backup to the file name. So I would just leave that, because that way if you're saving multiple backup copies, you'll be able to see the date and time of when it was created, so you know if you need to go back and restore, you'll be able to choose the right one that you want to go back to. It has the ability to limit the number of backup copies you keep in a folder if you want to, for some reason. If you have a limited amount of space and you want it to start overriding copies at a certain point instead of creating new ones, then it can do that. Here, this is the default setting for QuickBooks. Remind me to back up a copy every 4th time that I close my company file. That's what it defaults to, so that's when you're probably seeing when you close your QuickBooks file, every now and then it pops up and says, hey, do you want to back up your company file now? That's because of this setting here. So you can turn that off, or you can change how often it reminds you, but it's definitely helpful that it does remind you. And then you come down here and it's set to complete verification, and you do want to leave it at that. You could choose one of these other options and it will speed up the backup process a little bit, but unless your file is really huge, it doesn't take that long to do anyway, so I would recommend just leaving it complete verification. So we hit OK. It's going to, again, because I told it that I'm going to do backup copy on my local C drive, it's telling me that's not a really good idea. You sure you don't want to change it somewhere else? And now I have the option of changing it to a different location if I want to, like a thumb drive. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it, use this location just for this example. And that's really it. Now you've set up the settings to where it's going to save, how often it's going to remind you to do it. It doesn't do it automatically. It's still just going to remind you to back up every 4th time you close QuickBooks. So you still have to tell it to do it when it reminds you. But I would hit finish now, and it's going to actually run a backup and create one. That's how it works. Some of you might be backing up your entire C drive, your local hard drives, and that's fine. That's great. It does, if that's the case, it would be backing up your QuickBooks file at the same time, so that's good. But I would still recommend that you run the backup feature every now and then anyway, because doing that helps create or keep a healthy QuickBooks file. There are temporary data parts that build up within your file, and by running the backup process, it gets rid of those temporary files that you don't need anymore, helps keep the file size down, and it keeps a healthy file. So even if you are backing up some other way, you should still run the backup feature every now and then just to keep a healthy QuickBooks file. So that's how you do a backup. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.